Dr. Nathan Ogan, in his book Glossolalia, notes that during the Protestant Reformation, members of revivalistic movements frequently spoke in tongues. The list during this period is surprisingly long, including followers of the Moravians, the Camisards, also known as the French prophets, Quakers, Baptists, and even Methodists. John Wesley himself noted an account of a revival meeting in 1759 where both adults and children fell under the power of the Spirit. They shrieked, swooned, fell to the floor as if dead, babbled senselessly, cried out in praise of God. The most famous individual during this time was a 15-year-old girl called Margaret Mcdonald. She described her visions of Christ's second coming as a fiery trial that was for the purging and purifying of the real members of the church. MacDonald's story came to the attention of another seminal figure during this period, the Scottish Reverend Edward Irving. Irving's long fascination with the gifts, especially predictive prophecy, led him to a book on the end times by a little-known Catholic Jesuit priest, Manuel Lacunza. The priest claimed new discoveries similar to Margaret's visions. At the time, Irving held a series of prophecy conferences that further spread these beliefs. Professor of History Sewell, in his book The Crisis of Evangelical Christianity, notes that Irving became convinced that the now imminent latter days, or the end days, would be marked by a restoration of the charismata, that is, miraculous gifts, such as speaking in tongues and prophecy. Some of his followers in Scotland are said to have received the gift of tongues in 1830, which Irving certainly thought were actual human languages. In this circle, the baptism of the Holy Spirit came to be distinguished. Through all of this, Irving's Christology remained highly problematic. He believed in the sinfulness of Christ's human nature. Irving was eventually deposed from the ministry of the Church of Scotland. His followers eventually formed what's known as the Catholic Apostolic Church. Now, according to the New Advent Catholic Encyclopedia Online, the specialty of their religious belief consists in this. They hold apostles, prophets, evangelists, and pastors, according to the passage in Ephesians 4, to be abiding ministries in the church, and that these ministries, together with the power and gifts of the Holy Ghost, are dispensed and distributed among her members. They also held to the Nicene and Athanasian creeds, like most Protestants did, or do to this day. Irving's teachings captured the interest of the Plymouth Brethren, whose leaders included the noted John Darby. Some historians call Darby the father of modern-day Pentecostalism and dispensationalism. He is also said to have popularized the relatively new term, quote, rapture, and he exported said beliefs and practices to the New World. They would later fuel the 20th century phenomenon known as the pre-tribulation, or also known as the Secret Rapture. This was most famously popularized by the Left Behind series of books and movies. One notable difference, though, between these early groups and what came to be known as Pentecostalism was their beliefs that gifts had ceased sometime before the close of the Apostolic Age. They had returned to the church, they thought, through individuals like Margaret Mcdonald and groups led by Irving and Darby. So that's a big distinguishing difference. Historian Sewell argues that the ramifications of these let's call them, early Pentecostal movements have been serious. As a result, millions of evangelicals have given up on creation and culture. Their prime focus is not on being faithful servants of Jesus Christ in everyday area of life, but on being, quote, rapture ready. If necessary, prophetic clocks will be devised, started, stopped, and restarted as required to make the system work. He goes on to say that popular premillennial dispensationalist writing is strewed with false predictions of the pending date of the rapture. The media noise made by those concerned, coupled with the repeated confounding of prediction after prediction, serves to provide the secular and skeptical media of the Western world and the biblically illiterate masses they influence with ready-made excuses not to take the Christian message seriously.